Okay. And we are live. I'm just going to change this so we have side by side. Byron, good to see you. We usually see we see each other every day because we both work, and this is for other people to know. I sort of teach the martial arts in the dojo, manage the dojo, and Byron runs the gym in the dojo. So we see each other every day. I train in this dojo, but this is the only way we can speak to each other now. So we thought we'd share it with other people. Byron has a wealth of knowledge as far as the fitness industry and the broader industry, and also a real depth of knowledge on how people's bodies work and their minds work and the link between the two. I just find it fascinating to talk to him, so I just thought I'd share it with other people. And we're just coming together, have a chat. So Byron, how's it going?
David, very, very surreal time, sir. And I mean, for any of the listeners out here, I am exactly like you. I have never experienced a time like this in my lifetime. It's very, very strange to say the least. But I think actually at this time here, it's for me, you and David, you know what I like. I like to sit back and watch how things play out. And it's at this time, it's interesting. I'm going to say that there. It's interesting. But one of the big things, David, and it's interesting because I mean, with you, was doing an awful lot of work with the breath work, especially around anxiety. This is a very heightened period. I don't know if you're noticing this about heightened. Everyone is like, maybe a lot of people be on edge, and rightly so, because I mean, I just got a text last night from the government telling me to stay in.
Yeah.
I don't know if did you get that?
I got it last night too. Everybody
got it. And I think that's when it sort of hit home. I got a text from our government asking me to stay at home. Yeah. And now, and saying that with me, I've been sort of out of the road anyway. Sort of been following the sort of self-isolation advice anyway. So I've been out of the way, but that was just confirmation of that. So that was just quite a surreal thing to get for me. And I don't know if anyone listening in here, when you got that text last night, it sort of really solidified, you know, some things.
Yeah. The whole thing for me, I've been doing these breathwork courses, and I'm on my second breathwork course, 100 people on Monday, and I'm set for 100 people on Friday. I'm doing it free because I think at times like this, if we all pull together, we'll do okay, we'll get through it. And one of the things for me is that, as you know, I teach a lot of kids, and there's a collective anxiety around the world. But if adults are anxious, that feeds to the kids. And you know, if you want to know the man or the woman, you look at the child at 7. And if there's a 7-year-old that's going through this at the minute, you want them to go through it as best they can. Now we can't fix it, we can't make everything better. But if you have a calm parent, you have more chance of having a calm child. And for me, I'm coming from the point, and I'm a martial artist by profession. I hit people, I hit things. It's very much the fight part of me, but I'm looking more towards the calming and keeping people relaxed. And for me, it's about, you know, and you'll say exactly, I know we'll be on the same page. I go out for a run, or else I go to the gym first thing in the morning. That hasn't changed, and it won't change. And then I come in, I get a shower, and I come into my home office as opposed to my office, and I do my work. And when I usually finish work, I'm having my lunch at the same time, having my dinner at the same time, I'm going to bed at the same time. Yeah. Because that structure, it's okay lying in your pajamas for 2 or 3 days, but you'll soon get bored of that. Yeah. And your brain will just deteriorate. You know, you need to be active, you need to be moving. And people are eating absolute crap. And it's just destroying people. Just
Well,
striving.
and it's interesting there, David, because you had mentioned about me. So I think, my things make a metabolism. So how things actually, how the mechanisms of things make you healthy and well.
Yeah.
And it's fascinating. And it says there, and maybe that could lead us into sort of where we're going today, because we had mentioned there about, you were saying about people maybe lying about and you eating crap. Okay. And I'm a realist at this time. We'll all probably revert to some sort of comfort food at this time, because I think actually what it says there was there's a massive emotional response to this.
Yeah.
And we would sort of turn to comfort in times of heightened emotions.
Absolutely.
But the flip side for people, we're all looking at this point in time, everybody would be looking to have an immune system that works effectively at this minute in time, because we have, whether what your thoughts are about this virus or not, it's still out there. It's a national emergency. So how do we look to basically optimize our immune systems at this time? And it's running back to the food. Yeah. And the food, I suppose, with do you teach breathwork? So you're bringing something from outside into the body.
Absolutely. What we do just totally fits, because I'm very much in the breath. And if you're in your sympathetic nervous system, if you're in your fight or flight, you're not digesting your food. You're just not. So you have irritable stomach, irritable bowel. You're not getting the nutrients out of your food. But the second part of that, if you are able to digest your food and you are in the parasympathetic nervous system, the rest and digest, well, you need to be eating good food, So the two sit so well together, and one without the other just isn't going to work. If you're breathing well and you're doing all the stuff well and you're eating crap, it's not going to work. But if you're eating well and you're highly anxious, you're not getting the nutrients out of it. So it's that marriage of the two that I think fits so well.
And it's interesting. I'm going back to a point you had mentioned on the intro there, because we had talked about the social isolation part. Yeah. And it's ironic. It's ironic, David. I just wrote a chapter on a book about social isolation.
Yeah.
And in that there, I was researching for a long time back there about actually the effects of it. And sort of, what I'm like, David. I like to dig and find out exactly what's happening. And actually, when the terms of actual social isolation is actually, and you'd said about this, the brain, we know from the physical, what's the physical thing that actually affects. Yeah. And we know, and actually through them sort of studies, what they were looking at is actually the brain itself. Yes, the brain did start to degenerate when you're isolated. So, and thinking leading on to food. So if we've got any of our listeners and thinking, right, we've mentioned that, but what foods are actually going to help your brain at this time? Because we know you're going to be isolated and it degenerates the brain. For me, thinking of that straight away, we know things like small oily fish. So again, you'd have heard this around over the time, David, maybe try and have a few times a week where you can eat some oily fish, okay, in your diet. They can be frozen. You can buy them small, and what are small oily fish? So herrings, mackerel, sardines, any of those things. Now, people will say at home, I like those out of cans. Okay, they're not bad. That's not a bad option. Okay, but ideally get the real ones, freeze it, and keep those a few times a week there as well. So, but it really leads back to your point, David. Okay, if you're not breathing right, if you're not in a calm state, you're not actually going to have the stomach to recept it right, because all the blood's out in the extremities.
Yeah,
and it's really like. A little bit, and I'm going to give you a simple analogy. It's going down to the bank with your money, and the bank's not open, and just leaving it there. You can't actually get it into where you want to get to. I don't know if that would sort of make sense.
Yeah, absolutely, it makes sense. The other thing, and sort of when we're talking, sort of, I sort of take on board what you're saying, and it makes me think about something that I do and everything else.
Yeah.
Just this whole social isolation is one of the issues that I see is when people are stressed, when they're anxious, their brain shuts down to relationships. So when you're stressed, especially men, and I'm not sort of picking on men, I'm just saying men would be the key to this. In so much as most men see themselves as a provider. They like working, they like earning a living. And when that's taken away from them, they don't know how to define themselves as a human being. They don't know how to just be sitting at home and be part of the family. And the second part of that is when men get anxious or frustrated or stressed, they shut down, their emotions shut down. But when they're more relaxed, they're more open. And we have a perfect opportunity to build relationships with their family because we're seeing more often. But what you'll find when this is all over, there'll be more relationships that's broken down because of stress.
Yeah.
And stress leads to poor eating.
Yeah.
As well. You know, for me, I have a really good diet. I believe I sort of abide by what you say. And the point is that if you go down a path where you're anxious and you start to eat bad food, then that leads to more anxiety, which leads to more eating bad food. So it's really important that those two things marry, and we get the food right and we get the brain right, and everything. It's just about getting through this. It's just about getting through this as best we can.
It's exactly, and then I think, David, you know, it's about getting through it at this time. And you and I both love physical exercise, so we love it as a tool. And it's interesting when we're talking here about sort of immunization. And I don't know if any listeners, that's a passion of mine too. And there's sometimes you have to be in that world to have a passion. So maybe some people do know, some people don't know, but I was a medical mystery for a long time. So I mean, in terms of mine, I mean, I had chronic inflammation. So, and it's interesting because I had to sort of really understand at that time, you know, what changes and things you can make to your metabolism and lifestyle to actually come out of that state. And that's why, for me at this time, there's going to be a lot of underlying inflammation. And actually and it all boils back down to initially what goes into the mouth. Another part we were talking about, and we'll lead on to this probably down the line, David, what's going into the head. Okay, well, we'll probably touch more of that in depth. And sometimes I would actually start at the point about exercise. And probably a good point, I think maybe for some of our listeners in here as well, we're at home and everyone starts the exercise. I love exercise, David. I know you love, and it's a tool in your life. But I probably to safeguard maybe the listeners as well, with exercise at this time, we probably want our bodies to be really good humans at this time. So what do I mean by that? Be really good humans. I mean, humans are generally designed to keep things on the outside out, okay, and to protect you when they come into your body. So we want to optimize that. Now, exercise itself is a stressor, and it's a very good stressor. So probably my advice to the listeners, and even myself, this isn't a time to go hard or go home. This isn't the time where you're going to be doing personal records. Personally, I believe at this time, your exercise should be literally to charge the batteries each day, to optimize and help the immune system, not overcooking it. So again, when you're in the house, you're not looking to do max workouts all the time, okay? What you're looking to do is maybe, as you said, David, go out for your run, do your workout. They're all, as you know, they're charging yourself up, but you're not actually overdraining it. And probably anybody at home listening to that, who has got the sniffles, who possibly maybe has the virus and that, actually it's not the best time to exercise at that time. Just support your body and actually let your body fight that off. And then once you come out the other side of that and you feel well, that's when you're looking to build back in your regime again there.
It's a sad fact that there are going to be people doing exercise, and I'm not, my stuff on exercise. But the concerns I have is that some people have said, I'm going to do the insanity workout. Now, if you Google an insanity workout, it's called insanity for a reason. And it's suited to some people. If you're between 20 and 30 and you're in great shape and your knees are good and your hips are good, you can get away with it. But people who are a little bit older and they're putting stress on their joints and stress on their heart, it's just not, as far as fitness is concerned, you're 100% the same theory as me. One size does not fit all. And if you have somebody that has chronic inflammation, if you have somebody who has bad knees or bad hips, or their brain's not right, because just taking it into the breath, because some people will say Wim Hof is very big at the minute. Wim Hof, do you do Wim Hof? Now, the breath work that he does is a stressor. And for some people, it's fine. But for other people, it's going to put them into almost like a panic mode. So if somebody says to me, is Wim Hof good? I'll say, yes, it is. And no, it's not. because it depends on where you are with your breathing at this point in time. So I think that we have to get past this. We'll do I can't even remember his first name. I was going to say John Wicks, this guy Wicks who's doing the thing.
Joe Wicks. Joe Wicks.
Which is very good, but you need to be very careful, because what happens if you damage your back when you're doing that? Where are you going to go? You're going to go to the casualty? I wouldn't want to go to casualty at the minute. Are you going to go to your chiropractor? No, you're not, because he's closed. Yeah. So if you injure yourself, you're in isolation. There really is very little support here. So if we're going to exercise, we need to be very, very conscious of the fact that people, I go out for a run, and you'll know I do sort of to the camera things when I'm out for a run. People say, how far do you run? I run 20 minutes, 30 minutes max, and I run within a framework where I'm not pushing myself too much. All my businesses and me personally, we're in holding mode. We're like the airplane waiting to land, and when we land, we run for the first exit to get back into work. I'm just in a holding pattern. I'm keeping myself, my food's right, my sleep's right, my exercise right, and my relationships are right. And if you have all of that, you've hit all the bases. You really have.
Yeah.
If your food's right, and your exercise right, and your relationships are shit, you're not going to do well.
Yes, and David, and it's, I suppose, like, going back to again, because I mean, even with you were saying about Joe Wicks there, and I think actually it's lovely to see it, because all the kids have jumped on board, right? I think even because one of my little daughters there, and her friends were phoning, and it seems to be this sort of join up, and everyone does it, and I think actually there, the kids, look, let them bounce about doing that. And I think, and it's funny you say that, because with me, David, I really classify, when you're your 20s, it's all about your muscles, or ladies, it's about the toe, and 30s, you want to probably improve your strength a little bit. 40, from 40 onwards, you're looking to sort of minimize niggles and things going, and going forward, because I think actually from that point on, as we both know, Dave, I probably sort of specialize more now from 40 onwards.
Absolutely.
And I think actually, for me personally, because the goalpost move, actually, when I was a trainer, nearly 20 years ago, I mean, I didn't understand what it had to have children and all these different things in my life. And actually, so anyone that I trained 20 years ago who had children out there, I am going to give you a fist pump now, because I respect you so much for how you turn up and you did those things. But I think about it is always just about whatever age group you're out there, it's probably going back to, and I'm going to say age appropriate. So again, you touched on it there. If you've got sore knees and you do want to do the workout with Joe Wicks there with your kids, you're not going to do the jump squats. You're not going to do this. You're not going to do these things. You're probably going to stand and give it a little bit of a dance beside your child. Something like this.
People are going to try. That's important.
They've all give it a go.
You're absolutely right.
Everyone does, David.
Just sort of for clarity, as far as how, tell everybody how I actually sort of met you, because we didn't meet just because you came and worked in the dojo or moved your center to the dojo. I've been trying to get you in the dojo since, I think, 8 years ago. I was trying to get you in, and you came in. I think you came in about 2 or 3 years ago. But I had a serious injury, which I thought was on my neck. I was told I was on my neck, and I couldn't feel the last 3 fingers on my left hand, and I had sort of pins and needles up my arm, and I couldn't really grip or anything like that for 3 months. I went to specialist after specialist and had a CAT scan, and they told me that I had ganglions on my spine, and they'd have to go through my chest to get to them, cut them out, and that would be an operation, and I'd be laid up for maybe sort of 3-4 months, and I'd be able to teach. A friend of mine, John Rossborough, he said, you need to go to my wife and she'll fix you. And I thought, shit, it's not going to happen. I went to her one session. She's a chiropractor. She cracked my neck. Everything was fine. But I came out of that where I had no power in my left hand. And I went to Byron, and just being my nature, I wanted to go. And he said, no, you need to pull back. And I sort of, I said, I'm going to give you 3 months. And if we don't see eye to eye after 3 months, then I'm gone. I always commit. And for the first 6 weeks, I hated him because he wouldn't let me do the things I wanted to do. But in hindsight, what I realized was that he was protecting this shoulder. He was giving it exercise that we're going to build it slowly. And now I have full movement on both shoulders. I have all the ability that I ever need. I feel stronger now than I did sort of 10 years ago. And that's why I was chasing him to try and bring him into the dojo because I quality of his work. This is going off topic, and I know it is, but I want to talk to you. My wife, I was trying to get her to train for years, and I said she's naturally gifted, good figure, good body, and good strength, but you know she's getting to an age where she needs to work on it. Couldn't get her to train, and now I think probably about 8 months she's been training with Byron, and she just is addicted to training. She does so well. So it's never too late to get into good shape, and I was talking to a guy who's 50 and he has COPD, and he said, "Ah, well, if I go, I go. I've had a good life." And I go, 50? My God, don't give up yet.
Yeah.
Let's do something together, and let's try and give you a better quality of life. And it's all about quality of life. That's the bottom line.
I think actually, David, I'm going to just add on to that point because you said about 50. For anyone listening down now, and if anyone says to me, you know, when's the important time in your life to train? Well, anytime you do your exercise. But I would nearly suggest 50 as a time that you need to be doing exercise. And there's a reason for that, both males and females. The reason is probably, and I would even nearly say, well, both sexes should do it. I'll start with the females because, again, I would train a lot of females. And what I would suggest is that, I suppose, from like 50 and maybe even slightly younger than 50, I suppose, when we get to that sort of perimenopausal, menopausal time in ladies' lives, what will actually happen at that time, I think, what you'll notice is that with the body, that's the time from then on that you don't really bring as much calcium into the bones. And then we know from that leads on to osteoporosis. Now, one of the ways you can actually sort of mitigate and offset that is by doing your strength training or doing some training. So to keep your bone density up, but that'll all depend on, you know, your ability to train and eat the right sort of foods and that. And again, with men will start to have a natural decline in testosterone.
Yeah.
Okay. So really, and I think actually both men and women, that's why I brought you together. Men will drop in testosterone, and then the ladies will drop in the estrogen. Okay, so the sort of the male and female sex hormones, you start to naturally dip those. So we want to optimize them. Simply do some exercise.
Yeah.
You know, but I suppose I've said around that 50 mark, if people are listening, never too late. I look at the flip side. It's the right time to start.
Absolutely. You know, and there's so many things that tap at the age of 50, and you're saying about the estrogen and testosterone dropping. At the age of 50, 23% of all females at the age of 50 have sleep apnea. 23, like that's massive. But for men, it's 27, and for men it's 43%. Like almost half the men in this country aren't sleeping right. And the concern I have with that is, if my taxi driver isn't sleeping right and he's driving me at 2 o'clock in the morning, you know, if a worker who works in Belfast is driving into Belfast after having a poor night's sleep, and he's driving from Ballymena to Belfast, 40 minutes drive, and he falls asleep at the wheel, you know, put aside the whole fact that if you're not sleeping right, you're not digesting food right, your hormones are all over the place. It's just, we need to get people to understand that their health is their wealth. And if they don't have good health, they can have the fanciest cars, or they can have the best holidays or whatever. But if you're not healthy, you really don't have anything. You know, that's your base, that's your foundation.
You got it right, David. And again, leading on to sleep, because if I lead on to sleep, and again, it's interesting we say sleep here, because if I go and do any talks and presentations and we come up with a sleep topic, that's the one that everyone's ears really open up, and that's I get held on for a period of time to talk about, you know, about sleep. And I suppose here at this time, if there was ever a time that you really wanted to be sleeping well, it's going to be now. And I think probably for me, understanding sleep now more, the big thing for sleep is the hormone with it, melatonin. And actually why that jumps out of my brain, because melatonin is arguably the number one antioxidant hormone within the body. And probably to give people a little of an idea of that, so if you don't sleep well for a period of time, it becomes very noticeable on the outside that you're just not looking like yourself.
Yeah.
And then actually, when you get your good night's sleep, you actually feel recharged, you look more youthful, you're back to that. And I think with you, David, you would teach with the breath work, you'd actually said about sleep apnea. And then if anyone doesn't know sleep apnea, that's snoring with, and actually breathing with your mouth open.
Yeah.
When you're actually sleeping there.
Also,
so you would actually...
Stopping breathing. They can stop breathing for up to 30 seconds and then go and in. And as you well know, when you sleep, you want to go into deep sleep and then back out, and REM sleep and back out. If you have sleep apnea, you're on the surface of sleep, so you never get deep into it. So you'll wake. Now, some of the signals are if you wake with a dry mouth, you can have these wee micro wake ups and not even feel it, not even know you've woken up. But if you wake with a dry mouth, if you're waking at 3 o'clock in the morning, there's so many signs. There's actually, and maybe it's for another podcast, there's a new thing came out for kids to get kids to, have you seen this? Really good kit for getting kids to keep their mouth closed when they're sleeping. Because when you close your mouth, that sort of, one of the issues, you don't know your mouth's open when you sleep, so you have to actually put something across your mouth. Yeah. But if you can close your mouth, nitric oxide is created in the nasal passage, and it's a vasodilator, and it opens up the bloodways, and it just makes you feel so much better if you get a good night's sleep. Also, when you're breathing through your mouth, it's linked to the upper chest, which is stress breathing. When you breathe through your nose, it's linked to the diaphragm, which is relaxed breathing. Yeah. So there's no point sleeping if you're not relaxed. So you'd come from it from from one aspect where it's obviously the melatonin and the chemicals in your body. What I would be doing as well, and there's a perfect marriage between the two, is that if you're getting the melatonin levels right, and you do some breathing exercises to take yourself into a relaxed state before you go to sleep, then you have the perfect marriage of being able to get a good night's sleep. Yeah. Just in the current climate, this is one thing I would say about sleep. I usually sleep about 6 hours a night. And, if I go to bed at 11:30, I wake up at 5:30. If I go to bed at 12, I wake up at 6. I'm actually waking up about between an hour and a half an hour early. And the first time it happened, I thought, oh shit, I'm stressed. I must be stressed. Because that's your go-to response. Yeah. Then I was out for the run, and I thought, I'm actually not stressed. I'm just not working. Yeah. So there's people who are lying watching TV all day and watching Netflix and then going to bed and not being able to sleep and think, oh, it must be stress. Yeah. It's not. It's because your body's not fatigued. You need to tire yourself out. If you want to have a deep sleep, then you have to do the exercise to get yourself into deep sleep. Yeah, yeah, and it's interesting that, because I mean, a lot of the times when I would talk about these, David, that talks about sleep, and the first thing I would open up, initially is, do we have any bad sleepers in the room? And I mean, and then once you do a second call, there's a lot of people. There's probably 80% of them that say don't sleep that well, and it could be a number of different things. So the first way I introduce to it is thinking about sleep is, whatever you do from you waking up first thing in the morning is going to affect how the quality of your sleep is at that night. So I think actually, if you're a hereditary bad sleeper, you maybe have to start the assessment at the start of the day. And what I would look at is, you mentioned a key point about tiring yourself out. Okay, so actually having enough exertion when you go to bed at night time, you're relaxed. I think actually for anyone here who's hereditary a bad sleeper, the big things that can stick out to it. So we know stimulants can affect your sleep, like coffee. And I love coffee. I mean, you like, but we tend to sort of have a little bit more decaf now and again. But anyone that's a massive sort of hereditary bad sleeper, I mean, looking at there's two things with coffee, how it's going to affect your sleep. It's A, going to be the amount of it, and then there's B, going to be when you drink it. So the amount of it, we know a good sort of safe-ish level that will not affect your sleep that night is between 2 to 3 cups of it. And the other thing is about the timing of it. The timing of it, if you do have bad sleep and you want coffee to not affect it, we know, and actually we've looked at this in papers and science, that if we cut it off about 1 o'clock to 1:30, no later than that, it shouldn't have a negative effect on the sleep pattern that night. So again, Fred, that's a wee tip for anybody else. And as opposed to the sleep there, David, as opposed at night time, one of the biggest things that affects your sleep
bar your breathing pattern getting into it, is the temperature of your room. So heat massively affects, it's about sleep environment. So for anyone that's out there at this time and they're thinking, I'm a hereditary bad sleeper, something simply to sort of observe in your room is your bedroom, not necessarily in your bed, but the bedroom, is it naturally very hot, or is it hot because of heating? And if you are a bad sleeper hereditary and it is warm, that's one way to reduce that. And the only reason I'm throwing that in, because they looked at actually a study with kids that actually stayed over they actually got them in one of these hostel type places, like, and stay over, and they had kids in a room with the heat on, and they could be able to assess them. So just very interesting point for people. Watch your coffee levels, and if your bedroom's hot, bring that down, and as well as that, practice the breathing drills going into it, and you have a stand a chance.
Yeah, absolutely. I think sort of other things that I would think about is that if you are going to wake at 7 o'clock or 6 o'clock during the week and then sleep in to 12 o'clock on a Saturday and Sunday, there's no pattern. You're breaking the pattern. So I might sort of, I would still get up on a Sunday. I'd still get up at 6, but I might sort of do some stuff, maybe watch some TV or read a book or do something, and then I might go back and sort of have a doze later on. What I'm structuring is that I have a structure to my day. I usually go to bed about 11:30, 12. I usually get up about 5:30, 6.
Yeah.
And if you keep that structure, it's so much easier. And the second thing I'd say is that my day doesn't start at 6 o'clock. In my head, my day starts at 10 o'clock the night before, because what I'm thinking about is about the quality of my sleep. So at 10 o'clock, I start thinking, no, I'm not going to drink any more coffee. I'm not going to eat any more food. I'm going to try and relax a wee bit more. I'm not going to watch like John Wick's film where people are getting killed, where my brain is getting a bit agitated. I'll watch something that's just maybe a comedy or something that relaxes me. And then by the time I go to bed, I'm ready to go to bed. But, you know, if you are overstimulating your body, and you're saying with coffee, but also with information, because going back to one of the things you said about what we're putting into our brain, because you talked about your body, but you'd also talked about our brain. I have never in my life watched so much news as I have the last couple of weeks. And
Dave, I've stopped watching the news completely.
I've had to stop. I've had to tap out. And actually, I'm going to tonight. I'm going to tell people I'm not going on social media it might be for 12 hours or maybe for 24. But I'm actually finding that my eyes are getting a bit sore because I'm on my phone and I'm watching TV and I'm doing a lot of stuff like this too. And you know, you're talking about what you feed your body. But I know you're 100% like me. What you feed your mind, what are you putting in here? And if you're just looking at doom and gloom, look at Trump, look at China. I don't think it was. I think it was man-made virus. You know, I'm very into stoicism at the minute. I'm studying that. I'm really studying that. And we've talked about the alcoholics, the 9 steps of alcoholism.
12 steps. 12 steps. Yeah.
And one of the things, it's in Stoicism, and it's in the 12 steps. And I think it's also a prayer. It's a Christian prayer. And I'm not going to get it right, but it's
called the Serenity Prayer.
Serenity Prayer. And give me the strength to, you know it better than me, but it's given me the strength to deal with things that I can deal with, and to accept the things I can't, and the wisdom to know the difference.
It's a lovely prayer, and you said that, David. That's from Dr. Bill W.'s 12-step program.
Yeah, we cannot control what's happening out there. We just can't. We can control what happens here, but most of us don't.
Yeah.
You know, you have a crazy thought, and you follow it.
You
gotta let that crazy thought go by. You gotta recognize that it's a crazy thought and say, no, I'm not going to think like that anymore. Yeah. You know. And
as you're writing that, David, because you and I would say share a love of neuroscience as well, and I love neuroscience as well because it's a very new science, and it's interesting at this time because we're very briefly for people at home, just without getting into neuroscience because it's deep in it. But it's just to let people know that every thought that goes into your brain goes through your emotional center first of all.
Yeah.
Okay. So you've actually Yeah, we'll keep it very simple for people. We'll do 2 brains, David, not the 3 brains. We'll do 2. You've got an emotional brain up in here, very deep down, and you've got this rational thinking brain here at the front. Everything's going through the emotional filter, but what actually happens, actually, the more you go through and the more you're emotionally responded, that's the thing that it becomes, we call the loudest. It's the thing that really takes over. And you made a good point, and the news, I watched, over the last couple of weeks, I've watched more. And, I don't watch a lot of TV, actually, but we're all drawn to the news.
Yeah, you want to see what the next thing is going to happen.
Exactly. And actually, that's one of my personal strategies is about removing the news. Okay, because folks, I'll listen to this. I'll flick on once just to see if there's been a major announcement that okay. But I'm even bringing that back and replacing that with gratitude in my life each day. And what I mean by that, and the gratitude is, I'm just grateful. I'm just grateful that no matter how crazy or whatever this is going on, I'm grateful to be a part of this, because I know a lot of people, even that I grew up with, and people and relatives I know that aren't here. So I'm grateful to be here at this time. The other thing I'm personally grateful for at this time, David, we can it's a wee bit like I know everyone's slowed down and there's lots of and listen, I used to have a functioning gym. I don't have it now, so I'm like you people. But actually, I'm grateful for the slowdown. There's been a little bit of a slowdown here, and actually, I'm getting an opportunity now to actually, you'd mentioned it about my kids, and actually getting to, spend more quality time with them. And you always do, but I think actually it's the gratitude of this now. So just being grateful. I'm grateful the last 2 to 3, 4 days have been absolutely beautiful weather-wise. These are little things that, could you imagine everyone at home sitting here and we've had one of our lovely torrential grey 4 or 5 days, we've been climbing the walls. So I think for me, it's trying to identify something it's a negativity. And like anything in life, if you want to basically start a new path, you have to take something away and put something in its place. Because life's about doing things, not just taking away. I mean, you and I are both in the change game, and people want to change. What they do is, stop doing things. Life's about doing things. So always look to include something in there in that time when you make that change over. Because I personally think, and from at the minute, what we have is a bomb. And like an atomic bomb, this thing goes up, and then there's a fallout around the sides. And I think the fallout around the sides is going to be an effect of another health effect, but it's going into the other pillar, which I look as sort of 3 pillars of health: your physical, your mental, and your social health. But I think the mental health is going to have the one that's going to feel it after this. Do you see that, David?
I totally agree. I see this as for me, it's an opportunity to get better, and that's just the way my brain works. It's an opportunity for me to invest a wee bit in myself. And I actually was talking to somebody earlier today, because I'm doing a lot of, I like to work. So I'm doing a lot of free consultations with the Breathwork. And it's never about just the breath. It's always about something else, and it's all about emotional issues and whatever. And a lot of people, they will invest their time in the work that they do. They'll invest 40 hours a week in a job, and they won't invest 1 hour on their own emotional health. They just won't. And if you say, why don't you do, I don't have time. This is the thing. They don't hold themselves in enough high esteem to look after themselves. And what I mean by that is that people, if I'm taking a self-defense course, it's the easiest way for me to put it across. If I say to a woman in a self-defense course, if somebody attacked you, would you defend yourself or would you freeze? And they say, I'd freeze. I wouldn't know what to do. I couldn't do anything. Well, what would happen if the same person attacked your child? If they attacked my child, I'd kill them. I'd destroy them. And then the next question I ask them is, well, if that person attacked you and basically killed you, who looks after your children? You need to look after yourself. It's that whole theory in an airplane. You put your own mask on first, because if you haven't got your mask on, you can't help the person beside you.
Yeah.
I think that everybody has to start investing in their own personal health.
Yeah.
And you said about neuroscience, brain plasticity. Most people think I'm an angry person, I'm a sad person, I'm an overweight person. I'm a person that doesn't exercise. But brain plasticity tells you that you can change if you want to change.
Yeah.
But it starts with a thought. And I have a martial arts center, as you know. Well, I don't at the minute. I have a... but when I used to teach in the leisure center, I used to tell my students, I want a martial arts center. I wanted to be this size. I wanted to have these kind of change rooms. I wanted to have a weights facility in it. I wanted to have car parking spaces. And I visualized it in my head until such times as I made it a reality. And 8 years on, up until 2 weeks ago, there was hundreds of kids training every week, hundreds of adults. There was people going up and down the stairs to your place.
Yeah.
Anne was training with you, and it was fantastic. It was really working well. But that started with a thought. It just started with one simple thought: I want a martial arts center. Now, if somebody can have a thought, I want to be fit, I want to be strong, I want to be healthy. And when I talk about healthy, I'm not talking about this, I'm talking about this as well as this.
Yes, yes.
And if you get that one thought and you say, how can I make this happen?
Yeah.
You know, you can make it happen. You can change, you know, what's the stimulus? And you'll have plenty of women and men who've come into your place and have been overweight. There's been some trigger, some stimulus that has said, enough, I'm not taking this anymore. I'm going to change my attitude, and I'm going to change. And I've seen people coming up the stairs to your place with massive change in a few months, and over a year, phenomenal change. I've also seen people who have started and they haven't invested in themselves the way you've invested in them, and they've stopped and they've said, oh, it wasn't for me, you know. But those people are sort of sitting in their house today, and they're probably not very happy.
Well, David, I think probably as a human being sitting here today, and I think it led on to that. I think hand on heart, the people that come along, we've done stuff with, I think in their homes today, they can have a little bit of, what would you say? They get actually a little bit more at ease because they know they've actually done some of the things that will actually help to keep them in a good place. Probably the listeners listening here as well, talk about metabolism, nutrition. I think a big one, and Anne and David, I remember I've been saying about the power of the vitamin C at this minute in time. Okay.
I've been saying vitamin C.
Yes, good. Keep that going in there. Okay. So again, if you dig into a lot of the research, okay, that's what I'm saying. It's a very powerful vitamin that you want to make sure that you have, because it's water soluble, so you actually have to ingest it. So eat some oranges every day, folks. Eat some oranges. If you don't take some vitamin C, I mean, I'll put a disclaimer out there. Always check with your medical practitioner, but hey, eat some oranges or eat some tropical fruit that has vitamin C, or well, there's other things in it, but we'll start with the things that you know there. So that was just a wee bit on that side. But actually, I do firmly believe, David, that you do need to take the small, simple steps at this time. And I suppose for people at home listening in here now, because we're sharing lots of different, we've pinged off a lot of things. Maybe if somebody's sitting at home now and they had a pen and a paper and they were thinking, right, I'm going to take down some things that I can actually find that I can add into my life at this time, that you can actually put in simple enough to your routine, and working down. Probably from an exercise point of view for anybody at home there, if you're in a well place, at the well, you know, and you haven't got any infections, you're well enough to do stuff. I think each day, it all depends on your age. Okay, you know, so I'll take that back. It's not on your age, but actually on your own capabilities. So if you've got underlying niggles and injuries, just be aware of what your body is, and then ease into the program. My probably tip is for people to do something each day. You know, obviously in an isolation model, if you're lucky enough to have a garden or anything like that, you know, get out and be active at this time in your own garden. You know what I mean? Get out and get your sunshine. You can do other workouts. I think, David, you actually were hosting a body weight free workout.
And you know the work that I do with my jiu-jitsu belt. So it's all time under load and isometrics, which the way I look on it is, and it never happened well, I got injured 1 week when I was training with you. It was the week you were off. And you left me a program, and I thought, he's saying I can do that with 15 weights. I'll go up, I'll do a 20 weight, and that's where I damaged my shoulder. That's the only time I ever got hurt. But your physical training, if you're getting hurt, and this goes for anybody who's going to no matter what it is, Zumba or CrossFit or whatever, if you're getting injured in your training, then you're not training right. You just, especially over the age of 50, if you're getting injured, because what's happening is, if you're out for 4 weeks because of a shoulder injury, and you're going 10% heavier than me, and you're out for 4 weeks, and then you're back for another 2 weeks, and then you're out for 3 weeks.
Yeah.
I'm doing it 24 hours a day, or sorry, every week. Then you're going up and down, up and down. I'm just going on and up. I'm just moving up the way. So I'm always going to get better than somebody who's going too heavy and too hard. You said
Don't be wrong. There's a time and a place for, isn't there, Dave? There's a time and a place, and I don't think actually just at this time is to be going too hard. I think actually consistency. So anyone listening in here, we didn't specify any like specific workout regimes because we don't know who's at home listening to this and that was the first thing, because for me, David, people used to say, Byron, would you train, or can I send this person? I was like, I don't know anything about this person, I don't know. So anyone listening, you and David and I don't know you, but what we can suggest is start to do some tasks, even around the house. Okay, get out, do some gardening, occasionally go out and lift stuff. If you want to stop the boredom, get some steps up around the house. Go to the stairs, up and down the stairs, quick and down. Start to do those things, and I suppose, David, if they want more specific, they can reach out to us, and we can guide more.
If I was talking about breath work, because people think that I teach the same thing to everybody, but it depends on how they're breathing to start with, what I'll give them. And as I said about the Wim Hof, some people can do Wim Hof, some people shouldn't go near it. Shouldn't go. If you have high blood pressure, don't go near it. And the good and the bad about the fact that there's so much online is great at the minute, but there's also a part of that where you can put yourself in a difficult position because you have a compromised immune system, and you're doing something that's going to make it even worse. And we all need our immune system on point at the minute. So I'm not going to overtrain, because I know that me overtraining, it means that I go into a state where my immune system takes a bit of a shot.
Yeah. Can I just maybe think about it? Because actually, David, you filmed something briefly for a course I'm designed, and it was actually a little bit one on anxiety breathing. Yeah. And all I can say at this time is a lot of people feel really, really anxious. Yeah. So if somebody was sitting at home here now watching you and I and thought that's something that really stick out to me, is there a simple technique you would teach them?
Well, one of the easiest ones that I can do is there's a few things. First of all, what most people don't understand is they overbreathe. They breathe too much, and the more you breathe, the less oxygen you get into your cells. And that's a long lecture. So just condense it. The more you breathe, the less oxygen you get into your cells. That's very simple. If you breathe through your mouth, you're in a panic state. If you breathe into your stomach, you're rest and digest. If you breathe through your mouth, you have a better chance of being more relaxed. So breathing through your nose is the key. The second thing is slowing the breath down, and also creating nitric oxide in the nasal passage, which is a vasodilator, opens up the lungs. So I usually do a thing with people, and I would get them to breathe in through their nose, breathe out, hold their nose for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Take a breath in, take a breath out, take a breath in, take a breath out. And to do that for 2.5 minutes. Now, how you know it's going to work, or and we did this with 100 people on Monday night. And I said, take a note of how warm your hands are, take a mental note of how much saliva is in your mouth. And at the end I said, who had more saliva in their mouth? And about 75% of them did. And who's felt warmer hands and feet? 50% of them did. Now, the reason you have more saliva in your mouth is because you're in rest and digest. When you're stressed, if you had to do a lecture, not necessarily you, but most people, lecture in front of 1,000 people, your mouth would go dry. Why? Because you're stressed. Your stress equals a dry mouth. Relaxation equals more saliva in the mouth. So that we know that we're in rest and digest when that happens. Second part of that is, if you don't have saliva in your mouth, talking about digestion, this is where digestion starts. So if you have no saliva, you're not digesting food, you're putting it into your stomach, and already you've compromised the food. You've compromised.
You'd said that, David, because actually, when you're saying that about the saliva, and then people come, oh, what does that mean? But actually, when you have saliva, the digestive enzymes are in that saliva. When you eat the food, it's starting to break the food down properly, and actually helps people in here avoiding a thing called leaky gut.
Yeah, yeah.
So I'm not looking into that too much, but it's letting you see
Absolutely.
actually having that saliva to chew the food into what's called a bolus to get it into the gut properly. There you go. And it's interesting what you were saying about the anxiety breathing there and how the technique you just taught.
Yeah.
And why, and I look, we talk a lot. So I've used that technique in the past, right?
Yeah.
And for anyone listening to home and think, oh, this is a stressful time, I'll share something with you. I used that technique twice, and everyone at the minute seems to be panicking at this time because it's a whole respiratory disorder and it's about ventilation, intubation. I used that twice watching my daughter being ventilated and intubated into intensive care. Yeah. So the technique we've just actually learned together, and I actually asked her, David, I used that technique on 2 occasions when I watched my daughter nearly pass away. Yeah. So very interesting, folks. Okay, why did I share you? Because it's quite current when I watch the news, and anyone unfortunately in that position, I've been there a couple of times and with a family relative looking at it, and I've used that exact breathing technique to keep me calm. Yeah. Yeah. That's just to show the power of it.
The other thing is, and you would know more about this than me, when they talk about heart disease, they say about your gum health.
Yes.
One of the things is gum health. And my thoughts are the reason your gum health is poor is because you've no saliva in your mouth. You know, there's going to be an equation there. There's something happening in your mouth. Now, in my head, because I don't know the science, how do you get poor gum health with heart disease? Yeah. I'm sure you could, if we had more time, we could say that. Yeah. But everything's interlinked.
Yeah, it's interesting that, David, because I think even from that sort of like in a simple term, gum health's top of the digestive chain. Okay, so it's probably something as well. Like I would look at the gut health as well. There's a few things, but it's very interesting you says that, sir. With the breathing, because the breathing actually helps you remove you of that acidic state.
Yeah.
So maybe too acidic in the mouth, maybe. We can look into that even more, David. So we can.
Listen, it was good to talk.
Brilliant to talk.
Listen, this keeps me happy because I used to have a dog, a big German Shepherd, and if he didn't work, he just wouldn't eat. Yes. Because he felt that he had to physically do something. This I can now go and relax because I've done it. I've been up since 6 and I've been working. I've been making videos, martial arts videos. I've been talking to martial arts coaches. I've been talking to other people about breathwork. I've been set up a breathwork course. Yeah. And now I can relax a wee bit because I know I've put the effort in today. Byron, I really appreciate the fact that you took the time out of your day because I know you have a family that needs you. I know that you're putting a lot of work in the background into programs for people to bring them either maintain their health or bring them back to health. And folks, will maybe if I post this on my Facebook page, if you can sort of put a link to your page, because maybe people want to see or
okay,
that's a good option, folks. That's us. We're gonna finish this now. This is the first one we've done. We'll see if we'll see how long we're in lockdown and whether we'll have any more conversations.
Yeah, exactly, David. You and I could talk here for the next 2 to 3 hours and this stuff, but I think actually today there's loads of stuff in that for listeners at home. And I think probably wrapping it all up is that, I mean, we talked over lots there, but I think it's actually when you get up each day, you've got an opportunity. And I think for leaving a final word for people is look to find the opportunities now in your day to keep yourself well, because if you can keep yourself well, you have a chance then to protect those around you, because everyone's looking at this time to protect the vulnerable. And I think actually first and foremost, and you made a great point, David, is first and foremost is remove the vulnerability from yourself. And then you can spread the message around your family. And that's how you're going to do it. It's very hard to put your arms around somebody else when your arms are broken.
Yeah, absolutely. Good. I've never heard that one, but it's very good. I would say you have no control over what the external world does, but you have control over this. And then it's like dropping a pebble into a lake. The ripples go out. So when you're calmer, the rest of your family are calmer, and you respond better to them, because there's going to be plenty of rows over the next 6 months in a pile of houses.
And there's a thing that you bring it on. We've talked about control the controllables. That was a wee series that I designed a long time ago. But I think actually that's a good thing to think of now, is control the controllables within your life.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. David, will we wrap this up and go and get some food?
Okay, speak to you soon. Cheers, Byron. Thanks for the chat.